Hey guys, so this morning I've actually got an interview with an act that has had a lot of hype over the last couple of years, New Zealand's Alien Weaponry, and we actually have Lewis and Henry from the band on the line. How's it going, guys?
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Yeah, we're great.
How's New Zealand been over the last year or so? Have you guys been able to play shows, or are you still based out of New Zealand at the moment?
Yeah, so we are still based out of New Zealand, and I mean, the last couple of years we've been on and off being able to play shows. We actually did a tour about this time, starting about November last year, through to December, and we did like 6 shows here in New Zealand. And we've also done a show with the symphony orchestra here. So yeah, we've definitely been able to do some decent sized shows. There hasn't been much limitation in terms of that, but we have just had to cancel a New Zealand show because of the lockdown situation here at the moment. So we're actually down, which kind of sucks. But yeah, as far as everything goes, I think we've been doing pretty well with being able to have live shows, do all of that.
Most definitely. And I mean, to pull off an orchestra show during times like this is pretty incredible as well. I mean, how did that come about originally?
So they actually approached us, asking us if we wanted to do a collaboration and play a couple shows with them. And the first thing that popped into my mind was the Metallica and Sanford and the Skiss Orchestra. I was always a big fan of that growing up, so it was pretty exciting when we got the email from them. And yeah, it was a pretty amazing experience, like working with the orchestra, and obviously working with musicians that read sheet music as opposed to us who do everything by ear. So there were a few challenges. We had to relearn the songs, kind of, rearranged for collaborating with an orchestra, but that was an awesome experience. And we ended up playing one show with them. The second show didn't end up going ahead because I was a silly bugger and came off a Lime scooter and broke my thumb a few hours before the show.
Yeah, that's pretty unfortunate to be honest, especially coming off a scooter. It could be a way cooler excuse for the show being cancelled.
Yeah. Well, like we were saying, shit happens.
Yeah, most definitely. And I do like what you said there as well, because I think it's a really interesting point that you guys mainly just know music by ear and haven't really gone the route of reading and like reading notes and everything like that. So, was there ever any moment where you'd have to explain a certain, riff or anything to someone in the orchestra and it was kind of hard to get that communication between you guys?
Well, it was funny because actually, Holly, the conductor, as well as a guy we were working with behind the scenes, Jeremy, they were, I guess, both well versed with kind of working with musicians who had, I guess, a more shotgun approach to how they wrote and saw music. So they were kind of our translators in terms of, getting that across to orchestra. So, I mean, it was a huge undertaking, but it was made way easier by those who actually having that kind of knowledge to be able to, I guess, translate the whole thing over.
Yeah, definitely. They've kind of, been able to, that's really cool that, they were able to help out. And because I'm sure it would have been kind of quite a different experience for both of you, especially Henry with, orchestras having so many elements to the percussion sections. It can kind of be hard to find your place within all those musicians at times, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, for us, like we ended up being the kind of driving force of, I guess, where the orchestra kind of synced to. So, unless they were playing just by themselves, they were listening to the drums and going off that tempo.
Yeah.
And
No doubt.
yeah, it was like this interesting thing happening where, when you've got 84 musicians on stage, everything kind of pushes and pulls and wants to get slightly faster and slightly slower. But for us, as a three piece, I mean, we play a lot of our music to click tracks. And so
getting the orchestra to sync up with that was like the real challenge, I think, of actually, what we were doing there. And we ended up getting that perfectly.
And I suppose, how have these experiences and, some of the crowds and opportunities that you have had over the last couple of years, how have they changed the writing process for the new album? And I will actually ask you guys for a hand. I don't want to mispronounce anything. So the new album is called Tangaroa?
Tangaroa.
Tangaroa. So I suppose how have these experiences, shaped you guys and altered the writing process for you this time around?
I definitely think we have gotten a lot more progressive on this latest album. I think touring overseas and watching a bunch of really established bands live has had an effect on the way we songwrite. I just think that whole experience in general has really helped us to, I guess, step our game up and try some quite new things for the band.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as the whole, I guess, COVID thing affecting what we've done, I think we wrote most of the album pre-COVID or pre-lockdown at least, and I think possibly in a couple of the songs you can kind of feel that coming through, but we definitely don't focus on it on this album because I think it's something too many people are talking about, making a massive thing out of. It's like this depressing topic that I think it's a fact for everyone now that exists, and I feel like writing about it would probably not so great and be detrimental what we do as a band, because it really doesn't fit as far as that goes.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I kind of, got the impression that a lot of the songs were written pre-COVID, even possibly tracked before pre-COVID, because, like especially the title track having kind of being about climate change and marine life and tying in with Sea Shepherd, that's kind of something that I felt more so came from you guys, as you said, traveling overseas and kind of seeing how the rest of the world operates in a sense. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, I mean, the tracking actually started in March 20. So It was right as we started getting into lockdown. We actually got into the studio, set up the drums and tracked one or two songs, and then went into lockdown, so we had to bugger off back home. But it did give us a little extra time to do tweaking of the songs that maybe weren't quite as polished. And I mean, a blessing in disguise, but I feel like, that definitely that traveling did, I guess, open our eyes as well. But also seeing it here in New Zealand, like a clean, green country, but actually you go to the beaches here and some of them are horrendous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unfortunately, you kind of come across that worldwide. I've been to New Zealand before. I thought your beaches were lovely, to be honest, but like, in terms of pollution and stuff, there's kind of no end to it, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I mean, just we've got a river running straight out into the ocean outside our house, and the amount of farms in the area, like there's a huge amount of effluent runoff from farms. The farmers just aren't there, and so you get all of the kind of cow shit and everything washing them, and like the whole river stinks, and there's all sorts of other stuff on there as well, which for us, we'd much rather have this nice clean river outside our door rather than a muddy swamp.
Yeah, 100%. I think everyone would much rather the clean river.
Yeah.
And I was also kind of interested that you had a song about the Hatsupatu. The first Tupuna, your ancestor.
So that would be Hatsupatu and Ihinga.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying so hard with the pronunciation.
No worries, man. So long as you're trying it.
So I suppose what led you to writing the song about the ancestors, and what was the initial kind of inspiration behind that?
Well, I mean, with Hatsupatu especially, like kind of, it was a story we grew up with and we're told at school, and we got read to by our parents. So it was something that we learned very early on in our childhood, and I mean, part of, I guess, the way stories are generally passed down in Māori families, word of mouth generation. And I feel like with Hatsupatu, it's kind of our way of telling that, retelling that, and, sharing it. So for us, that's really what it is, being able to retell that kind of great significance to a lot of Māori here in New Zealand. Probably hard pressed to find someone Māori and doesn't know this. And the same with Ihinga, honestly, but it maybe not such a well-known story, but he was one of our ancestors, actually first came to New Zealand, Te Arawa Waka, and he named and he explored and named a lot of places known as the Ihinga the Great.
Yeah, wow. And they're both direct descendants of you, or just kind of part of Maori history?
No, they are. So those are both people in our whakapapa, or our genealogy.
Wow, that's absolutely incredible. I suppose in terms of Hatsupatu being a story that so many people knew, was it daunting kind of knowing that so many Maori people might know the story, so people might be more critical of your retelling?
I mean, with everything we do, we try and do it tika, as you would say in Māori, or the correct way.
Mm-hmm.
So that's generally our kind of thought process around writing songs in general. And some of the things we are writing about do have a great deal of respect. And for us, that kind of retelling of the story, I think fits perfect in that kind of realm of being Māori and having this kind of I guess almost an obligation to retell your family.
It does it does seem like that with some Maori friends that I have, and certainly a lot of Maori musicians. It does seem as if a lot tie in family and historical stories.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a big part of what we do. I mean,
mm-hmm. yeah, it's quite unsurprising in that aspect. It is very massive. So the album comes out today. How have you guys been feeling for the release, and how are you feeling now that it's actually out?
It's awesome too. I mean, it's just come out in New Zealand. It came out at 12 a.m. in New Zealand. I'm not too sure about Australia, but yeah, it's good to finally be able to get it out, because there was a lot of just waiting and anticipating how people would react. And we've kind of all been itching for it to just be out to the world for a long time now, and just to kind of get the general vibe from our fan base.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a big release, for the band. It's an album, but it's also a big release for us mentally. I think, just not having that worry of, what if it comes out and it flops. I mean, it's out now, so all we got to do is see how people react to it.
Well, and it has been getting, some really, really great reviews and stuff so far as well. So I think it's not too early to say that it's not a flop. So congratulations, guys. It must be an awesome feeling to finally release that second album.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
If I suppose if someone had never heard of Alien Weaponry, or listened to any of your previous material, how would you recommend Tangaroa to them?
I mean, Tangaroa is probably the most progressive we've ever gotten with our music so far. It's definitely a lot more progressive than our last album, and it's something that we've put a lot of passion to. And again, like you said, it has been getting some pretty great reviews. We've had previews of the album, so yeah, for us, we would just say go and listen to it and see how it tickles your thing.
I like that. Well, we'll certainly be playing a lot of it on the Faction as well. So thank you guys so much for having a chat with the Faction this morning. It's massively appreciated. Congratulations on the release.
No worries, Alex. Thanks.
All right, so we'll finish up there. If anyone's tuned in a little bit late, we've been with Lewis and Henry of New Zealand's Alien Weaponry. Thank you guys so much for the chat.
Sweet. See you, mate.
All right, enjoy the rest of your day, guys.
You too, mate.